Hello, everyone joining us. We're so happy you're here. Wow, that's probably the most enthusiastic entry in HR therapy I think I've ever done. We're so pumped you're here. We're gonna have such a good time. In the meantime, before we get to all the fun that we're gonna have today, in the chat, if you could tell me what your favorite fall or holiday treat is, and treat is up to you to define it as you wish. And don't forget, if you're chatting all of us, that you want to chat, you want to make sure your little down carrot in the chat is set to everyone, not hosts and panelists, because I think everyone wants to hear your answers. And in case you forget, I will be reminding you about 16 times during this. Okay, cool. What do we got? Ooh, creme brulee latte. Ooh, candid. Oh God, this is gonna. Hello, everyone. I'm just like a really big sugar person, so this is really gonna send me on a spiral. Yay. Ooh, pumpkin spice. Pumpkin. Okay, this is a hot take. I asked a question during my safe space. We do like a Friday meetup once a month, our event session. And I asked people about like pumpkin versus peppermint. And people were like, oh, but we like peppermint way more. And pumpkin is like squarely in the fall, and peppermint is squarely in the holiday time. And I never thought I would get into a debate about what times, what flavors were acceptable. Like, why can't we be drinking pumpkin spice lattes all year round? Okay, it would be weird. It would be weird in like July. Could you imagine if I just like rolled into July and was like, can I get a pumpkin spice latte? I'm sure they could do that. Hallie and Jeannie, come off of mute and tell me what you all think. What are your
Well,
favorites?
first of all, I was part of this discussion about the peppermint and pumpkin, and I am somebody who like peppermint is definitely, sorry, not it's not a fall like
Fair.
flavor.
It's fair. I'll take it. But you like peppermint because there are people who think mint chocolate chip ice cream tastes like toothpaste, and that is one of my favorite ice creams.
Same. That is like a safe, like, okay, if I don't know what I'm gonna get at an ice cream place, mint chocolate chip, because it's just every place has it. And it's always gonna be good.
No. Oh, we firmly disagree.
Shameful. That's shameful.
I would feel like a particular mood for mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Really?
Cookies and cream.
I'm loving this. What's your favorite ice cream flavor, everyone? I'm sorry, I'm now
You're like, we have moved on from the fall treats.
weird.
Tell me you have ADHD without telling me.
Yeah, it's me. I'm her. Okay, everyone's sharing. This is so great, and people are joining us. Okay, I really did not mean to do this to all of us. God damn it. Sorry, everyone. We're going to have a good time today. I promise we will. Before we do, I also have to say we are giving away a really cute bag. I'm going to show this at maybe the end. So if you are registered for this event, you get to be entered into winning this cool bag. We're going to pull a winning name at the end of this event. So just stay tuned. And I'm going to spin a wheel and tell you all of that. I forgot that we were giving away. There it is. There's my thing. It's like a fun giveaway we're doing thanks to Hi Bob. It's the holiday cheer. You guys know I love fun things. So if you are excited and you're here, we're going to do a giveaway. Yay. Okay, presents. Wow, we're still going. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for your favorite fall and holiday treat. This can totally continue. However, if you've never been here before, welcome to HR Therapy. This will be your favorite event of the month, I promise. We are going to have such a good time. It's a virtual event where I get to bring my friends, family, actually never any of my family members, my friends, to talk about the things that are really impacting us in HR. And this topic today is near and dear to my heart because if you don't know this already, I started my career in tech where I thought I was going to be a tech product manager. And then I entered HR. And so I think of demos as having a very love-hate relationship with them. I think of tech, especially HR tech, of having a really deep love-hate relationship. So we're going to get into what that actually means today, what we as HR need from our tech and what our tools actually do. And I have some wonderful people joining us. This is what we're going to do. You're going to meet these wonderful people. We're going to do Dear Hibba and Friends, loosely inspired by Dear Abby, which was an advice column I read growing up that I had no business reading. We're going to do a live Q&A. And I also love etiquette questions, even though I display none of that. We're going to do live Q&A. And then we're going to wrap with a what's next. So if you have questions in the Zoom chat, you can actually drop them. You can upvote them to get your question answered. We'll take them live and we're going to have a good time doing it. And then we'll talk about what's next. Before we get to all that good stuff, this is being recorded. None of this is being shared none of your personal information is being shared anywhere or your ice cream preferences. Don't worry. On the note of the chat, it is kind of distracting. If you are somebody who does not want to keep up with the chat, doesn't want to read it, I highly encourage you minimize it, you close it. Otherwise, leaving it open, it will be popping off the whole time, or people will live react to the things I say, or maybe roast me when I have a bad take. And the last 20 minutes are reserved for those live questions. So get them in, and we will get to as many of them as we can. Okay, so now, who are we? What are we doing here? Who are my friends? I'd like you to meet them. Hallie, welcome. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Hallie. I am VP of People at Chili Piper. I guess maybe I should tell you what Chili Piper is and a little bit about what I do. But so Chili Piper is an AI-powered platform. We connect buyers with your company the moment they show interest. We're a globally remote company. We have about 150 team members spread out in 36 different countries or something like that. I am part of a small but mighty team of 2. So small team means that I am responsible for a little bit of everything, anything from compensation to employee issues and leadership coaching. So yeah.
The HR, we do everything. The Jill of all trades, as someone recently taught me not to say jack of all trades. So the Jill
I
of all
love that.
Something like that. Yeah.
we do everything. It's just the most fun job on the earth. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to hear your perspective. I know we're gonna have a good time. You always make me laugh and have really good spicy takes. So you're the perfect HR therapy guest. Jeannie, welcome.
Hi. So I'm Jeannie Donahue. I'm from Hi Bob. I had our professional services team for the Americas and our growth market. So we're responsible when you purchase Bob for helping you implement that and get the base usage out of it. But previous to being in HR tech, I was actually on the HR side of the house. So learning and development, assessment, selection teams, implemented many a system myself. So I understand both sides of the coin.
You have done the transition that maybe someday I have considered doing, where I'm like, what if I don't do this job anymore? What could my life be like? Maybe I could do something.
It is lovely. I have to say, I have not looked back since I've made the switch.
It's like, I went through it. I'm good. I've done it. You and everybody else. Someone in the chat just said they're in the process of launching Hi Bob. On the note of they actually
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, wow, look at this. I didn't even have to say it. Hi Bob is also the sponsor of this event. I work closely with them. Everybody who has seen things I've done, I did the Great Confessional booth with them, and they sponsored this HR therapy. And when I pitched them the idea of like this topic, I was so like, ooh, maybe they won't like this. And then they were like, yes, do it. Talk about the things that make you mad about HR backgrounds. So I'm having like such a blast doing this. I am Hiba Yusuf. If you've not met me before and this is your first introduction, oh boy, you're in for a treat. I am the CPO at Workweek, which is a small media company, and we're a 55-person company. And part of my job as well is I am a content creator. So I created I Hate It Here, and I get to do HR therapy. I think my running count is this is my 24th straight HR therapy in a row. We've been running for 2 years, and I've had such a blast doing this virtual event. I get to share the things I've learned with all of you, and I'm just like deeply passionate about us making HR better. This job is so hard, and we have each other. So that is the biggest takeaway I have in this season of gratitude, is that I'm grateful for all of you who have taken time out of your day to spend time with us to learn about what it is we're going to talk about and share your perspectives as well in the chat. So thank you for being here. Okay, without further ado, dear Hiba, Hallie, and Jeannie, let's go. Our first spicy question. I had to start with this, and I'm just, everyone knows I like to stir the pot. What's your biggest, ooh, they hid that from us moment once you actually got into the product?
Ellie, why don't you start, since I'm gonna take a little bit of a devil's advocate approach here.
Oh, I love
Okay. So, I guess let me start with saying that not I'm like, where do I start? I'm like, I guess maybe I'll start with the example and then go from there. Maybe that'll give you a little more context. Okay, so I do have like a real life example of this. We bought a module that was supposed to do like promotion flows for us. We were pretty explicit about our process, that, managers trigger promotions. They own the whole flow of promotions, getting them across the finish line, all of that. During implementation, we figured out that managers couldn't actually kick off those flows unless we gave them full admin access. I don't know about you, but I am not giving them full admin access.
Sorry.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
Never.
So using the tool actually just like created more manual work for our team, which is never something I'm looking for in a tool. So we never used the module. It was straight up money wasted, which I felt pretty shitty about. So yeah, I guess like the learning there is like make sure that you are like asking for more than just like the vendor's demo process. Like ask me, like, show me how this works in our setup, and like well, what about with our roles and thinking about those things. So yeah.
I love that. I'll share my answer after Jeannie, though, because I feel like Jeannie's going to share a perspective. But Hallie, I would have been so mad. I would
Oh,
have.
I was. We were already stuck with this tool. Like we wanted to move to a different one. We were stuck with this tool, but we're like, we'll change out this specific module. So it wasn't like the tool entirely was unused, but like we were certainly paying money for something we didn't need to be.
I hate. I hate
Yeah.
that. Giving
Yeah.
managers
And,
admin access.
Absolutely not.
I'll say this with a caveat too. Like, listen, sales job is to sell, right? Like they get their paychecks by hitting their quota. So I empathize and I understand that. I still do not believe in shady sales tactics. Like be upfront and honest with me. When I was looking at vendors, I would much rather tell me you couldn't do something. I almost liked you more. Like I waitressed for 10 years. I never, recommended the most expensive glass of wine. You always recommend something in the middle. This way they can build that trust. That being said, I do say, look at it with a lens of positive intent. There have been very few times where I've seen super shady sales tactics in HR vendors. A lot of times, people are coming from the space, they understand how tough the job is already. So if there was something that was quote unquote hidden, it might not be truly hidden. And I say there's a dual responsibility between making sure that you are coming in as an educated buyer and really asking the right questions. So, I'm seeing a lot of like integrations pieces coming up in the chat. Like, if there's an integration that is super important to you, make sure you ask. Make sure have customers use this. Do you have somebody that I can speak to who is currently using this? Go online and search for it. Make sure that kind of like when you're buying a house, you'll find them big on analogies, but if you're buying a house, like what are your must-haves versus what are your nice-to-haves? And then make sure that you're buying the house that have your must-haves in it.
Yeah. I also love so I have a community called Safe Space. People can ask other people's experiences with tools. And that is something that I find so powerful. It's like, yes, they could sell me the perfect tool on a demo. I could hear everything about it. I could ask all the right questions, but I also try to make sure that I hear from every single person who's either used it, good or bad. I want to hear the good and the bad. Like the bad to me doesn't scare me. I need to understand
Exactly.
that's going to impact me as well. Like you're so right. I would trust you more if you said, "Ooh, we don't actually do that right now, but maybe we could work that into the product roadmap," or it's a long shot, it won't happen. Like that is how you build trust during the sales process. I think for me, the thing that I am so vigilant about when I go into any sort of demo is I try to write out as many use cases as possible. And I think this is because I started my career in tech and I was the one writing user stories like for our CTO to actually go like build features, which is a very weird thing at the first startup I worked at that I did. But now when I go into a demo, I'm always like, as a manager, I need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. As an admin, I need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. As HR, I need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And I basically try to write out as many user stories as I can. And then when I'm through the demo, I will ask like, can the manager see this? What can I do about that? Like one of our big use cases for our performance review software was that I needed to be able to ask a private question to managers that wouldn't be shared directly with the employees. And I needed to be able to ask a question to the employees that wouldn't be shared with the manager. So when I went in to vet tools, that was the first question. I was like, great, I don't care about what question bank you have. I don't care about what calibration tools you have. Can I configure my review to do this? And I was able to eliminate so many tools instantly that they were like, we don't do that. And if they did say they did it, I was like, show me. I need you to show me how you would configure it. And so as they're walking through the process, I'm basically a nightmare in tech demos. So like take my advice always with a grain of salt because I tend to piss off salespeople by like the third call. But I'm like, I can't make a choice if I don't have the clarity of the core things I need done. Other things are nice, like exactly what we said, like nice to haves, Jeannie. Those are less important to me. Need to haves are the most important. I need to make sure that it does this. I love this. People are saying they're the same. Like I'm annoying to people. Okay, next question. I wanted to touch on this topic because I think a lot of us here have probably experienced this. How much of this dynamic do you all think is because HR is often not seen as this economic buyer, even though like we're the ones using the tool every damn day? Like I encountered this recently, but we need to talk about this because I feel like so many people get treated like, oh, but you're not actually the important person because you're not going to give me the money for this thing.
So this one is always like so hard for me. And I think part of it is because like the way that we make decisions at our company is not necessarily like the normal approach. So like no department like at Chili Piper has their own budget. So big decisions all go through like a decision memo process. I have to document the issue, options, recommendations. Like um, most of these decisions are also open to the entire company to like give recommendations on and view in the future. So like that's like one of the nice things about it, right? Is like, okay, I want to know why somebody picked this tool before. Like that is all documented and I can find it. Um, but while like I think the other thing the process helps kind of point out things that maybe I need to go back and ask questions on if I haven't. But either way, like my role is still the decision maker, but like I have to get stakeholder buy-in. So a lot of times like when like the account executive is like, hey, like what is your budget? Or like how does, who needs to be involved in this decision? And I'm like, well, we don't have a budget. Or I have to work with XYZ people. Their assumption is that, oh, it's just my team and that our CEO or CFO is making the call. And our CFO is fractional. Like he hasn't even been involved in the last decision memo about it. Like I can't tell you a decision memo he's been in about a tool. So I think that what's often like lost is like vendors, they they don't see influence and authority coexisting, but like
Ooh,
I actually own both in this scenario. So I guess like what I want is for like the sales rep to be my partner and like help me build that buy-in to get the deal across the finish line.
yeah, that quote was fire though. And sorry, I was like, ooh, I need to write that down. Yeah. Your budget process deeply scares me, but also it's very interesting and unique because like we do have set budgets, but I have come across like being talked down to almost by sales sometimes where they think ultimately I am the authority person to the point where they've said like, well, can your CEO just come to the call? And I'm like, well, my CEO is gonna ask me what I think because I'm the one using the tool. He's not gonna use the
Yeah,
tool.
you're like, my CEO will barely be in here.
I'm like,
Let's be
I can't
honest.
even get this man to approve my PTO half the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you think he's going to sit here and ask you? I basically, at one point, when someone said that to me in a sales demo, I said, hey, I just want to stop you right now. I have the budget. I have the authority. He is the person who signs it at the end because we have a rule that he signs our contracts as our CEO, but it is still my choice. So if you ask me one more time if he's coming to this call, I will go find a different tool to use.
Good for you.
Stop asking me to demo to our CEO. He doesn't care or want to talk to
Right.
you.
I
Right.
always found it very offensive because like HR is like 70% women, I think is the latest stat. And most every sales team at a technical product I have encountered have been male. And I've had to tell them like I worked in tech before 5 years before I became anything in HR. I almost learned to code because that is how much I wanted to be in tech. Like, please do not talk to me like this. And so I think it is really hard to establish that authority from the jump, but I sometimes just get really candid and really transparent with them. Probably yet again another reason I hate them because I'm like, don't pretend like my CEO is the one who's going to be using this tool. It's me. You should be impressed with me. Sorry, Jeannie.
But no, I think that's the most important part, right? Like, I hopefully the redounding theme you'll take away from this entire conversation is like transparency is key and candidness is the name of the game. So I think everything Evil said is right. It's establishing this is my role, this is what I will do, and this is when I will bring the people in who do sign the paperwork and being super clear about those expectations. Don't be apologetic about it. I do some leadership women coaching on the side. Like, how often are we like, oh, I'm sorry, we'll deal with it? No, own the power. If it's your decision to make, own that. Now, I will also just show some context on the other side of it. Part of the reason AEs are often really pushing for this is because they'll have somebody who, no offense, super junior in the role, is trying to make a name for themselves, did a Google search, and now they're getting a demo of the platform. And they're like, oh, tell me more. And I've had AEs that have spent 3 months of their lives going into excruciating detail, demo after demo, only to find out when they do bring it to a decision maker, it's not going anywhere. So the idea with sales is fail fast. If it's not going to go forward, make sure that you're clear about that. And I didn't appreciate that until I actually worked in SaaS. So again, make sure you're clear about being the decision maker. If you're not, be respectful and know, like, okay, let me make sure that we do have budget and I can get this through before I make somebody do a song and dance for me. But after that, yeah, own it. And the other thing I would say, if you're working with a salesperson who's not being respectful for you, before you throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, like, okay, that's it, I'm not considering this tack, see if you can get a different salesperson, because that to me is also a good pressure test of how does the company work. If they say no, that's your salesperson, okay, maybe then you throw the baby out. But if they're like, no, sorry, this isn't a great experience, I'm going to send somebody else for you to work with, you get to know a little bit more about what would be like when shit hits the fan when you're doing implementation. Something happens when you're further in the company. How do they handle escalations? So sometimes I almost prefer that as like a pressure test of how things are going to work later on.
It's so smart.
Pass on asking for another rep.
I've never done that. Wait, who has you've done that in the chat? Please tell me. I need to know because I've never done that.
It's worth doing.
Wow. I should have done that with the one guy who really made me mad. I
Well,
that.
haven't you ever gotten a rep before where it's like you feel like you're giving yourself a demo of the tool? I'm like,
No.
I barely know anything about this.
Right.
Why
I
am
shouldn't be
giving
showing
myself a
this to
demo?
me. Yeah.
And that's I'm gonna do this. Okay, everybody. Goal in 2026. I might be doing this, but my other thing is like I don't take a demo unless I have budget. First of all, I have no free time. If you think I have free time to demo your tool, you're misunderstood. I have zero time. So I am only demoing with the intent to buy. On the off chance I ever demo a tool with no intent to buy, the first thing out of my mouth is, I'm literally doing this just to look at your tool. I do not have any buying capacity. Show me the thing, and then we're going to have to call.
Transparency, right? Take
Yeah.
one call. You're not making them do 3 months worth of work. Now, the other piece I will throw in here, because we're all HR professionals, right? Like, let's drink our own Merlot. Let's make sure we're giving the AE some feedback first, right? So, like, don't be that person that's just immediately asking, don't be a Karen if you can't be a Karen. Say, like, hey, listen, by the way, like, I'm not appreciating this. This isn't my style. You need to trust that we're going through this process together and that I can see you're a good partner. Now, if they're still an a-hole, then yeah, go up and see if you can get somebody else. But let's drink our own Merlot and give the feedback.
I love that. I'll be like, I don't like you. That's my feedback. Give me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm choosing a violence on this call today. I really said I am showing up exactly like myself. It is, I mean, yeah, this is to me, I'm adding it to my goals. 2026, if I encounter an AE or a vendor or demo that I really do not vibe with the person, I will give them the feedback. Thank you, Jeannie. But I will also ask, can you please give me someone else? And someone who's not a jerk. Okay, we have a few more questions to get to, and then we'll take live Q&A. So if you're enjoying this and you have live questions, put them in the Q&A. Okay, I have to know, because everybody has this. What's one question you ask in every demo?
Do you have a sandbox or demo environment that I can have access to testing myself? That was something that I started doing after I demoed with Bob for the first time. I think that was like back in 2021. I don't know if I just had never been offered that as an option.
Yeah.
But that is the best way to see how like actually intuitive a tool is. And like, because you not like this trained sales rep is the person using it. Like I have had situations before where it's like, I mean, every demo, it makes it like, to me, they make it look like, oh, this is so like intuitive. It's easy to use. Like they know exactly where to click. I like,
Right.
for whatever reason, when I saw a particular demo at the time, I did not think about that. But I had a tool once where our CEO refused to use it because the UI was so bad. So
Yeah.
kind of frustrating. Don't get yourself in that scenario by doing that. And I also would say like, it is not a red flag if that's not an option, but like, it's something I'm also willing to pay for. So like, if they don't have it as like, just like a out of the box option, ask like, okay, do you guys offer like a 30-day paid pilot? I would rather pay for 30 or 90 days than a year, like a year full of regret, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and not a red flag, but like it also tells me like I need to ask more granular like questions then because I can't actually be exploring this myself.
Yeah, my other favorite thing, if they like don't have a sandbox and they want to make you pay for it and you don't have budget, is I will go find somebody who actively has the tool and I like a friend because I know like what's in most of my friends' tech stacks. I'm like, hey, I will call a friend and be like, hey, can you get online with me for 30 minutes, walk me through how you would do this thing and show me it? And a friend will do that. I actually did that for somebody recently. They were evaluating a tool I was using and they were like, what do you think? And I said, I'll do you one better. Get on a call with me 30 minutes. I will share my screen and walk you through your use cases of how I have to do it in the product, and you can decide what you decide. And so I think like I
I
can't
love that.
to like lean on your community, but like all of us have learned really hard lessons. All of us, I think, on this call in life, but like when it comes to HR tech, I guarantee there are 10 people in your network who have learned really hard lessons that want to share it with other people so that you avoid going through the pain. So I love calling up a friend and saying, give me your own demo. And a good
Yeah. I love that too, especially because again, like it's if you're hiring somebody that worked with somebody you knew before, would you not call them and ask what type of employee they were? Like, of course you would. So why not do the same thing with a system? Um, the one thing, and again, this is more particular SaaS language, so hoping this is also educational to help get you behind the curtain as far as what's going on the other side. I see a lot of conversation as far as like people saying they didn't have sandbox or what that means. And I think sometimes in HR, we say a word and think of something in a certain format, but it might not generalize to how the sales team is terming something. So if you're asking, hey, do you have an environment that I can test around with? Like, I'm in professional services and my job wouldn't exist if we could just give you the platform and you could do it all on your own. So it is actually really common to say, no, we won't do that because it could kill the deal, you trying to figure out all on your own. Now, what you can ask for, and this goes back to what you were saying as far as like coming up with all your test scenarios, is say, will you do a proof of concept for me? I have scenarios that I want you to go through. Will you build those for me? And then let me play in the environment that you have built. And that's a little bit of best of both worlds because you're not having to be an admin, build it out, go through what you go through in an implementation, but you are getting to see what does it look like when I click? How self-explanatory is it? And still feel those pieces out.
I love that. I think the reason why I love this topic so much, honestly, is because I started my career in tech and then went into HR and it really did help me. So like if you did not have the same trajectory, like our goal today is really that you get as much knowledge as possible. So the next time you're in a tech demo, you're thinking about these things. But it is really interesting. I've never asked them to do a proof of concept either. And so now I'm like, I might start writing out every single one of my scenarios and then being like, proof of concept me. Like I've run my use cases, but scenario planning would also be really helpful and say, like, show me how this happens. So
Well, and that's most often like kind of going back to the first question, right? Like there's this feeling sometimes of like a gotcha, like, oh, they told me they could do this and they didn't. But again, you may have said something to us during the sales cycle that we're like, yeah, we could do that. But then when you click 5 clicks into it, there's a specific detail that we missed. So the proof of concept is like when I see a customer come in that has done a detailed proof of concept, I'm like, oh, it's going to be the easiest implementation because you've already seen it, you already know how it works. My team isn't going to be giving you any surprises. So it's a really nice balance. Now, again, that being said, my caution here is always have empathy and understand the shoe on the other foot, because if you're asking for, 150 test cases and your annual ARR is going to be $10,000, like, can they really invest that time? So understand always that like your vendor is a business as well. I'll have people come to me in implementation saying like, hey, I need 10 more sessions. Like, I need 10 more people on my team, but we have to work together.
you don't have a session.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned though, like a detail that I think is in my next question about some red flags. So, I mean, what are some red flags that tell you if someone is over scripting their answers?
I'd love to start this one if you don't mind.
No flags. You like pre-said it, and I was like, don't say it just yet because I'm getting to that.
Yeah, I think, listen, my favorite question to ask a vendor is like, what is the most common complaint you hear once somebody's using the platform? Because it's sort of like that. what's your biggest weakness in an interview, right? If you can't come up with something that's genuine or it's over scripted, it's going to be pretty clear. Like you Googled this and you're just using a textbook answer. But if they're like, well, actually, our customers get frustrated with X, Y, and Z, and you feel like that's really honest, dig into it, double click. Why is that? How do you advise they get around that? So how much meat do they give you when you ask, like, it's not all rainbows and roses. Where are the bumps in the road that your customers most often hit? I think a lot of times, again, a lot of times it's can I speak to references? And if you don't have references to give, that can be a hard one. But also thinking about sales cycle and what the time of year is, like end of years, things are busy. Like if you're working with high Bob, right, you don't want us calling up when you're in the middle of performance and comp and benefits open enrollment and asking you, hey, can you talk to these 10 potential prospects? So again, like my caution is the same that I used to give when I was in assessment and selection. Like, don't look at any one piece as this is a complete disqualifier. Look at the entire picture and the themes that you're getting out of that.
Love that. That was really good. I hate when like I can't get a straight answer. I'm like, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. Like I know how to bullshit. But like when I feel like I'm getting it in a demo, I'm like, just tell me the straight answer. Like I just want to know.
Do you
So
say that? Like what do you say and how does that come off to them? Do they?
yeah. So I'm a very direct communicator too. So like you should
No.
me. Me? When I start demos, I will say to people like, look, two things you should know about me throughout this demo process. One, I'm a very curious person, so I'm going to ask a lot of questions. Two, I'm very direct. If those do not vibe with you, like I want you to be aware that's who I am. That's how I'm going to in all these calls. So if I start to go off and ask really direct questions, I would rather you give me the answer. If you do not have the answer, just tell me. I do not know and I will get back to you. That is okay as well. I'm not forcing you to tell me. I'd rather you say I don't know than you come up with something that's not true. And usually like that's how I start every demo. And because I don't want to get too far into the demo and be acting like myself and the salesperson be like, why is this woman acting like this? Like this is like out of control. And I'm like, I'm just gonna tell you who I am the second we meet.
Transparency, right? It's the same theme here.
I'm gonna get my answers faster and we are gonna be way more successful if you let me be the way that I am so that I can understand if this tool will work with what I need. Okay, sorry, Hallie.
No, that's okay. I mean, honestly, I typically like, I guess I kind of ease into this. Like, I typically start by asking for like a slight adjustment that can be made, or like, I guess if we were using what I should have done in the first scenario where I felt like we got duped, on the promotion flows, maybe I would have asked like, can this flow be owned by somebody else who isn't an admin? Or like, can you show me how, like, and can you show me how that would work? But then, or like, what if we removed this step from the workflow that you're showing me? Instead of like, I've had situations where instead of adapting, the rep literally just shows me the exact same thing that they just showed me. And I'm like,
you just showed me that.
yeah, huh? And so a lot of times, like, even though I'm like, okay, a lot of times they'll kind of push back again and be like, no, like what I meant was like, can you do XYZ? And if they still can't adapt, then like, that's all I need to know. Because it either means that like I mean, I guess that's a scenario where you could ask for another rep, but sometimes you can tell at that point, like, no, it's the tool. But like it kind of will potentially tell you like this tool is not flexible enough to like work with like the messy reality that like I actually work in.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good one if they can't adapt. I think my biggest red flag is if the salesperson talks to me like they know HR better than I know HR is a big red flag for me. Or they're like, I know HR professionals are really struggling with this. I'm like, I'm not struggling with that. Like, I've been with fires. Like, well, I'm not struggling with that. That's not like a problem for me. That maybe that's like a personal preference, but I'm just like, it shows to me that you don't understand your core user base. And that I think like every single salesperson, I'm not saying needs to work in HR to sell HR tech, but they should understand at a high level what are the biggest challenges HR people are facing and at least talk to customers, prospects, as if they can also learn from them. So I think that's been a big red flag I found in the past where they're trying to tell me like, we know you really struggle with this. And I'm like, actually, I don't struggle with that because I'm a 55-person company. Like maybe at 250 people, I would struggle with that, but not the 55 person. So like
Right.
my tip here, and I don't think there's a lot of HR tech sales people in this call, but like my tip here would be to say like you should know your audience like better than anyone else. You're selling to them, you should know who they are. So like I think that part really gets me. I think something interesting I want to talk about, and then we'll get to live questions and 2 more questions. I have this and 1 more after. Why do you think HR sometimes gets overpromised to, or I hate to trigger anyone, straight up gaslit during vendor conversations? Like sometimes I feel like it's an illusion and I'm like, please, I don't want this. I didn't sign up for this. Like why? Why do you think this happens?
Jeannie, do you want to go first, or I'm like, I can go too, but I don't know if you have like perspective based on.
Yeah, let me play a little side of the other coin too, because again, this goes back to my nature of like assuming positive intent, right? Yeah, sure. There's gonna be some people that are straight up like, no, look over here. Don't worry about the integration that you asked for that I absolutely cannot do. So sure, that's gonna happen sometimes, but I think a lot of times, like for instance, where I'm handling a lot of escalation calls is sometimes where folks come in either where they put the platform on a pedestal, right? And they're like, oh my God, it's perfect. It's going to do everything I want. Well, then the only where we have to go is down. So you have to come in with realistic expectation that no platform's going to do everything the exact way you want. And the other thing I often questioned myself, not when I was junior in my career, because it's like, no, I know the textbook way you're supposed to do it is this. But as I got more into the real world, it's, well, if the platform's not doing it that way, is there a reason why? Don't be afraid to ask, what are your customers doing instead? Because the tech, like the people developing it, the product managers have a good handle on what problems they're trying to solve for. Maybe there's a different way they get to it. The other thing I would say is don't make assumptions. So where I also see like, listen, Bob's a great platform. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't. I really truly love the Bob platform. That being said, we have modules that came out at different times. So core is incredibly, mature. It's our bread and butter. It's where we've been from the beginning. Our hiring module came out this year. So you wouldn't look at a kid that's in elementary school and a kid in high school and expect them to do the same things. And sometimes I will have folks that just make an assumption about, okay, well, I see they have everything. I'm just going to buy everything and assume it's the same level of maturity. If you have specific processes, going back to our first question, make sure you're asking, can it handle those processes? Don't be afraid to ask, hey, how long has this module been around? What's the maturity of it? I saw one before ask, who's your ideal customer? Love that, because we do have an ideal fit that we're looking at when we're selling certain products. So definitely lean into those aspects.
I really love that, like setting the expectation around like modules that are newer. Yeah, I don't know. I just really love that. I mean, like to me, I think a lot of it can come down to like the like vendor not considering like the authority that HR has or the person that they're speaking with has in the potential conversation. I think like that perception leads to assumptions around like um I guess knowledge around tech, or just like the assumption that like, oh, we're so desperate that like we're willing to accept any demo at face value. Um, I think that the like the impact in that is that like it kind of sets up this dynamic that invites sort of over promising during the presentation, and then when things don't go as we were sold, it's always like, oh, well, you implemented it wrong or you didn't ask the right questions. And it's like, while I don't think that it's always the case that the vendor will do that, it does feel like a pretty convenient way to shift
Yeah.
and be like, put the like responsibility back on the buyer instead. Um, so yeah, I guess like my thought is like the way we can actually change that though is like leading the conversations with curiosity and confidence, but then also like don't be afraid to ask for receipts. Like, how about, you were talking about like reaching out to people who actually have the tool, but like if you don't know somebody in your network with a tool, ask if they can connect you with somebody. Like, so one of the things I've done before is like connect me with a current customer who's migrated from like the current system we're using. And so like that one I think is really useful. Obviously, like they're of course going to set you up with somebody that like likes their tool. I wouldn't expect anything less, but like
job references, right?
yes, but still like worth that conversation. Or another question I really like to ask is like, can you show me a workflow that's a little weird or like unique? Not only
That's
do
a
I
real good
just
one.
like find interest in that personally, and gives me ideas. But again, like can show you how like flexible potentially their platform is.
Amazing.
Asking what's their most popular feature request at the moment too is another good one.
Juicy.
Really good.
I'd be like, can I get all the feature requests? Can you give me the list?
Maybe you are really a nightmare customer.
I am. Thank you. I take that.
You're like, I did not undersell that. I
Good shot.
love to
Be on it. Good luck, everybody trying to sell me anything. I'm a sucker for everything else though. Like I'll be like, ooh, TikTok, I might need that, and then I buy it. Notice. Not that way with HR tech though. Not that way. Okay. Last question, then we can get to Q&A because we've been sharing a lot of questions, and I hope everyone's writing them down. And this will be recorded for you to reference it too. So, what questions do you ask to avoid surprise pricing, surprise support gaps, or surprise invoices? Basically, any sort of surprise. Hallie, I know you have like a long list, but tell us.
Well, I'm like, when I was like writing notes for this, I was sort of like, okay, are these all basic questions? Like, I don't know. Is anybody asking these? I am somebody who maybe to the rep on the other side, like can come across as a little cheap. Like I very much am like thinking about, is this worth the money you're charging me for it? At every step in the process. And so when we get to pricing, I'm like, cool, like walk me through the real price, not just like the demo price. Tell me what's gonna like help me think ahead. What's gonna happen when we grow? Like how are we getting charged for like additional seats if we need them? And like, and I guess that also brings you back, right, to like, how does your pricing structure work? Is it by user? Is it like, do you guys have it set up in like tiers based on company size? Is this all bundled? Can I pack it, or like, can I buy things a la carte? Just sort of like walking through the potential scenarios of like, okay, what makes most sense cost wise too? Because yes, you might be presented a bundle, but like I know some tools, hi Bob, is not this way, but like some tools, you are limited to a certain number of workflows. Okay, is it actually better to get the next level up to get more workflows, or is it better to just add on an individual workflow or two? So those are all things like I like to go through. I always obviously ask about, does your onboarding and implementation cost money? Like what's included in that if it does? I'm trying to think of the other things. I guess like, yeah, again, just like thinking through growth, or if something breaks. And I guess the other thing would be like service level. So certain some tools will only provide you like your own CSM if you're a certain size or have a certain spend. And speaking of certain spend, I have seen some tools that have like a minimum spend required. So yeah, make sure you ask about that too.
I love the support question, and they'll be like, you can chat support. I'm like, is that a human or like an AI tool? Like, I don't.
You're like, you mean that robot that just like sends me your help articles that I could have looked up myself?
I could have looked up myself. Yeah, got it. I'm like, how can I talk to a human? Like, I'm the person on the phone that's like, connect me to an operator.
Oh, same. Talk to a person.
Operator is me. Like,
000. Yeah.
my partner would be like yelling at me. Like, I just need to represent
Exactly. Representative.
me, but HR tech, like emailing like support at representative. Like,
Yes.
what? Yeah, that was a surprise for me one time too. And then I think surprise pricing, I will say, I asked them to send me an itemized contract. Like, I'm like, I want line item by line item. And I have been known to go every single line item and be like, why is this 54 users? Why is this 104 users? What is this module and what is its purpose? And basically like tear into a SLA kind of like that. And that's how I get the best pricing, because I'm just like, I do not want to be surprised if at the end of the year you send me a bill that is any sort of money different, because we do a very strong budgeting process. Like, I'm not budgeting like random numbers. I'm budgeting the exact number that's in the contract and then estimated for my growth what it's going to be. So
Right.
how I avoid it, I'm like, give me a line item. I need to understand every single thing that goes into this contract. So
Another thing that might also be worth like considering asking is like, over the past few years, like what have been the price increases? Because that could also signal to you like, should I try to get on a multi-year contract?
Yep.
Can I get like,
Good one.
price like the same pricing for the next 2 years? And sometimes, I mean, a lot of tools I feel like I've used, they're like, oh, you get a discount if
Yep.
you do multi-year pricing.
Yep.
So worth asking.
We did like, and then every contract has renewals. So we signed a multi-year contract too, because our 2-year contract was cheaper than our 1-year renewal. And we were like, well, we're definitely not going to be out of this tool in 1 year. So like, we're just going to do the 2-year, but I always ask for pricing options. So I'm always like, what if I just renew? What if I add on these specific modules? What if I go 2-year and then I end up getting 3 and I'm doing the math on all of them? So I feel that.
Yeah.
Okay. We have some
Those-
questions to take, but Jeannie, anything to add before I go to last?
Yeah, sorry. One other thing to add there, and I think Helly, you mentioned this when you were talking about it. Like the fundamental rule in life is nothing is free, right? So I just caution as you're going in. We see this a lot where, like, again, my team is very senior. They've sat in the HR seat, done multiple HR implementations. But if somebody is saying implementation is free, it's not free.
Never free. It's never free.
It's
Right.
included in the rest of the pricing.
Right. Oh, or you're not getting it. Right. So, I guess my question is, or my caution is, dig into that a little bit more. Like, is my CSM included in my annual subscription fee? What does support mean? Are those live people? Can I get them on the phone? Is it just chat? Is there a next level of service you're expecting? Like, one of my biggest frustration as a vendor is when somebody comes to me and they're like, well, I'm expecting the performance of Alexis, but I look at them and I'm like, well, you bought a Civic as your implementation plan. We recommended the Lexus and you told us you didn't have the budget. So, like, again, real talk here, right? Like, you have to acknowledge what you're purchasing. Don't come to me and tell me that you want top tier white glove service, but you paid for our cheapest implementation. Let's be honest about, okay, where can we work on pricing? Where can we work on us doing something for you, a case study, whatever it might be? But realize, like, if you're expecting a partnership, you need to be a good partner too.
Yeah, I love that. I also ask on the note of like paying pricing, I always ask like, what kind of discounts do you have? And I'm again, we already established I'm the nightmare in the scenario. But sometimes when they deliver me the first contract, I will go back and say to the AE, like, what kind of discounts, what kind of discount ability do you have? I need you, I will sign, but it can't be this amount. And I'll have an amount in my head. And I'm like, I will sign for this amount though. And that tends to work. I'm a lifelong haggler. I was telling Hallie before we even started this, like, I love a coupon. I love a discount code. I love a deal. And I love to haggle. I'm Egyptian. That's like an Egyptian cultural thing too. Like when you're in the store, you'll be like, I'll buy this for 10 pounds and they'll be like 20 and you'll be like 10 and it's a fun time. So I do that, but with tech, because I'm like, I know you have discounts baked in. I'm trying to get the best bang for my buck and also be reasonable. I will sign if we can get to this amount and this like understanding of this is the discount I want. Somebody mentioned in the chat, making sure you ask about owning your data too. We didn't touch on that, but that is a very good question to avoid surprise. I have to leave this tool. What data of mine do I own? Because you'd want to own.
And what form does it come in when I want to export it?
PDFs. Hallie, go good. Like you and I have
PDFs that you manually have to download yourself.
And no. 3 years ago, I downloaded 75 PDFs and it was a really fun time for me and I never want to do it again. But we do have a live Q&A, which I'm very excited about. People are asking questions and you can upvote them. So the really fun thing about live Q&A is you can upvote these, obviously. I think there's a way to do it on the right side. No? Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens. The first question we got was, what if you are a small company and get the white glove treatment during the process of buying a new tool, but then you get put in the pile of tiny, nice to have, unimportant clients and get terrible customer support and non-existent CSMs?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like an important question to ask up front. I would definitely say, what does support look like for your small customers? Do I have dedicated support? Do I have a dedicated CSM? What does implementation support look like? Do I have any one-to-one sessions? And if that is something important to you, ask, what is the cost?
Yeah, that support to me is like, what does the day-to-day look like after I've implemented this tool is
Yeah,
enough. Ask.
that's a good one.
I just want to know, like, if I run into something, like I did implement a tool and I was running a performance review process quickly after. So before I even signed, I said, hey, I have to run this performance review quickly after. Can I get a dedicated person to walk me through making sure I set this up correctly? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. I didn't end up getting it. I had to like chat support, and then support finally gave me a person. So I will say just keep asking, what does the expectation day to day look like? Who is answering my Slack? Is it a dedicated person I'm emailing, or is it a random help desk that will then send me to a dedicated person? I will say the interesting thing about customer support, especially in the AI age, is I think a lot of people are moving towards using AI for a lot of it. So be especially like clear about this piece. We all are going to need support for our wild use cases, like Hallie said. If it's going to be AI or a person, could be the difference in you picking the tool and you being successful with the tool.
Also understanding how like escalation works on that kind of thing. Like, I mean, we're
Mhm.
just talking about like, oh, I like finally got moved to a person.
Yeah.
Understanding like how that process works would, I would assume, be really helpful. I haven't gone through that personally, thank God, but
It's rough. Okay, one next question. I really want one system for everything. I love that idea. Recruitment, onboarding, performance, compensation, succession planning, benefits, payroll, and employee documents. Since we are a small HR department with big goals, have any of you found this unicorn, or are you just using multiple systems?
what were the list of tools again?
Recruitment, onboarding, performance, compensation, succession planning, benefits, payroll, employee documents.
I have not found a tool like that, but I will tell you that, and again, like I am a HiBob customer and a huge fan of their tool. Part of the reason I selected the tool was because of the integration options. So no, there is not just one tool, but I guess the other piece about HiBob, their core product has so many things included in it. And so like that's the other piece that's like really nice about it, and another reason I recommend them. But look for, so yes, they don't have every single one of those things, I don't think, or at least I'm not using every single one of those things. Um, but at least they can connect to them, and they have most.
Everything but succession planning, I'm pretty sure we have in that list. But again, I would say you need to write down, going back to the house analogy, what are your must haves? Because any all in one system is not going to be the best in everything.
Mhm.
That's what I said. That's what I was going to say. I will say, like, if you are the best at everything, you're actually good at nothing. There are like, you can build a really good HR tech stack, I think, with like 3 tools, maybe 4. They have to integrate with one another. They have to be willing to play with one another. A lot of HR tech will have preferred partners too. So when I go into a demo, I'll say, like, who are your preferred partners for this? Who are your preferred partners for that? They will tell you, but I firmly believe a tool that tells you they're good at everything is good at nothing. Just like none of us can be great at everything. There are things I'm really not good at, and I've accepted. It took me time, but I have accepted. Okay. Somebody asked, what is your favorite HR tech? Allie, I feel like this is hard for you because you're using HiBot, but do you have another answer of an HR tech tool that you admire?
I'm like, it's why is it easier for me to be like, I don't like these things, and I'm like, I'm not coming here to like flame other tools.
That's me.
I know. I'm like, I have a list of the things I don't like. Okay, so honestly, I feel like I'm just like, oh, it's like HiBob. No, I really love the HiBob tool. I really appreciate just like the ability to like make anything work the way that I want it to work. Like I said, like we have a lot of kind of like weird processes in comparison to like other companies, and the fact that I can like make the system work to that. And the fact that we have employees in 36 different countries, like I need things to be able to flex to different people. And the tool makes it easy for me to do that. And also it, from my perspective, very easy to like, even without reach, like we have a CSM. I very rarely reach out. I couldn't tell you the last time I reached out to my CSM to like help me fix something. I've just been able to like fix it myself without much effort at all. And so that to me makes a good tool.
Ooh, that's a really good one that we didn't mention before, is asking like, if I want changes, is everything in the UI or do you have to make it behind the scenes? That's a
I
key one.
cannot stand that when you have to reach out and be like, can you fix this like small
Yeah.
thing that would take me 5 seconds to do on my
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah.
I also think it's really hard to pick I'm more likely to say of HR tools I don't like versus HR tools that should probably say something about me as a person. Maybe I should work on that for 2026, you know? I should. Um, I I think I don't know. I think it's hard. And I also I think it depends on for me to answer this question, actually depends on a lot of factors. And I feel like I'm giving such a politician answer right now, but I think favorite depends on company size and what your company's actually trying to achieve, like the strategic
Yes.
of your company. Like if I was in a high growth environment versus a stabilize and doing, I might actually pick different tools. I really might. And someone just asked this. Ooh, this is so good. Thank you, Katie, for asking this. In larger organizations, how do you manage the IT push and pull in the HR system space? We get a ton of pushback for access to the systems we own. The age-old, is it IT or HR tech?
Oh, it's not an issue I have to deal with. It's like we don't have we don't have dedicated IT. So it's like people are minding their own business.
This to me feels like the payroll dilemma where it's like, who should own payroll, HR or finance? It's kind of the same thing, but I think if you're getting pushback to systems you actually own, I think it's asking why and how do I get to be that admin super user? I have worked at companies where HR is like the admin, but IT is like the super admin. And the only thing that they can do as super admin is like API integration access type stuff, and HR can do everything else. So I'm not mad if IT needs to own the technical piece of the platform. I am more mad if I can't do the things I need to do or have access to the things that I need to have access to.
Yeah, I would say it's all storytelling, right? Like, don't get into a pissing match about ownership. You're never going to win. It's what can you not do, or how are you not efficient and effective in your job without X, Y, and Z? And then asking what needs to be true in order for me to have that.
Love it. Okay, I'm sad to say, friends, we have reached, oh, I forgot to be on the slide. Sorry. We have reached almost the end of our time together today with 3 minutes to spare. Remember at the very beginning where I told you we were doing a giveaway? It's like a handbag that's made of recycled water bottles and is machine washable. And while we were having fun, I had someone on my team do a random wheelie spin. And Bonnie Grogan, if you are here, you just won a bag. So this is like Oprah's favorite things, but actually,
Yay, Bonnie.
Ibba's favorite thing. Yay, Bonnie! Bonnie's here. If Bonnie's not here, she's going to end up being like, what happened in my absence? And everyone's so happy for her. We're like, yay, Bonnie, you won this really cool bag. Maybe I'll share a picture of Bonnie's reaction when she gets said bag. So that is just a really exciting, fun thing to give away during this holiday season. I have to say thank you to everybody who was here, participated, sponsored. Hallie and Jeannie, thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge. Truly, there are multiple people in the chat that said this is one of the best events they've ever attended. I screenshotted it.
Yay!
Celebrate. They said, thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge and expertise. I'm sure they will hit you all up. Hallie is in Safe Space with me, so you can always join us in Safe Space. There's a free and a paid membership. It's up to you which whenever you choose to decide, but you will find friends and family there that want to hang out and tell you all great things. Big thanks to Hi Bob for letting me continue to have the most fun conversations I've ever get to have in my professional career. Thank you, Hi Bob. We love you. And all for everyone here, you'll get an after event survey email, just a bunch of details, Hallie and Jeannie's contact info so you can reach out to them, and just yay Bonnie for winning. My heart this was my favorite part of the year, the favorite part of the day. Employees will be like, what do you love the most? I'm like, HR therapy. Nothing else about my job. Just say good there. But I'm kidding. I'm so happy to be here. You all are the best. Someone said it was the least boring least boring Zoom they've ever been. But thank you again to everyone here in the gratitude season. I'm so grateful for all of you that let me do this fun stuff every month. So thank you. And have a great day to everyone else.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Right at 2 p.m. I did it on time. I will see you next week. Thank you, Gina. Happy holidays. Bye.